The time has come. I think I'm officially ready to try my first Brandon Sanderson book. So in this reading vlog, I'm going to officially start the Mistborn series. I'd love to at least commit to the trilogy, maybe read the rest of the books in the series if I'm feeling really spicy and if I love it. But I'm gonna at least start with this one and see if I'll continue with it. Am I gonna like it? Let's find out. Honestly, I am pretty intimidated to try this book. I am new to the fantasy genre and I really enjoy like fantasy romance, but like high fantasy is gonna be really new for me. So I'm interested to see like the world building in this and how taxing this is on my imagination to try and visualize everything. So that's why I've been kind of putting this one off, but I can't do it any longer. The FOMO is getting to me, so it's time to get started. My reading buddies are in place and I've got my book, about to crack it open. Oh, there's the other reading buddy. Now it's a party. I'm not helping. I've been at Mistborn for like a week now, but I got super sick and I couldn't physically read it. So I listened to the audiobook for a while, which was a lot of fun when you're running a fever and having fever dreams, because I felt like I was Vin and I was in the story. It was a trip. But I did take notes of some of my thoughts. At part 1, or 26% of the way in, here were my initial impressions. Oh, there's an enslaved race of people and political unrest. Yay, there's a band of thieves! And heck yes, there's an even more powerful gang of thieves that is run differently because they are built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. We have two POVs. Firstly, we have Calcier. He's the leader of this thieving gang. He is coming up with this scheme to take down the final empire, and he is taking Vin under his wing. Then we have Vin. She is a 16-year-old thief, and she doesn't quite know the extent of these powers that she seems to have, but she notices that Calcier has the same kind of power, so she's looking forward to working with him and learning more. I'm really enjoying learning about this power along with Vin. It is good for me as a newbie to fantasy. It is not overwhelming at all because I'm learning about everything along with her, so the magic is very easy to grasp. Vin is extremely skittish and mistrusting. She hasn't gotten on my nerves too much at this point at 26% of the way in, but I'm very much looking forward to her coming into her power and gaining confidence. Then we have part 2, which took me to 39% of the way into the book. In this section, Vin is doing a lot of training, learning how to master her powers, and of course it turns out she's quite the natural, and she's catching on very quickly. Her role is to impersonate a noblewoman and infiltrate the nobility, kind of catch all the gossip, who likes who, where there's alliances, where there's tension, and report back. So she starts going to all these balls, and she comes across Lord Elend Venture. I kind of like him. He's this guy that like reads books during the balls. He's kind of a jerk, but I kind of like him. But apparently his attention is a bad thing. Closing out part 2, we finally have some action. Calcier and Vin go on this very dangerous mission to find out what is going on behind this locked room that the Lord Ruler seems to go in with a lot of regularity. They don't know what's in there, but Calcier is really curious. So they break in and they try to figure it out, but it ends kind of poorly. That's what's going on in part 1 and 2. It still seems kind of early to pass any judgment on it. I am intrigued, I am invested in the story. Seems to be moving a little bit slow, but I think now with how part 2 closed out, maybe now the action's gonna get rolling, so I'm excited to keep going with it.
What did you guys do? Did you cause a mess? What did you do? I'm sitting here reading my book. You have your toy. And what did you do with it? Carnage. Carnage everywhere. R.I.P. little toy. R.I.P. Got a pretty nice sunset tonight, but as you spin around, you see why there is a 100% chance of thunderstorms tonight. So excited to read in this storm. Yes.
The dogs always choose now when I'm trying to film to start playing. They get so excited. While they're playing tug of war, I'm gonna update you on part 3. I am 64% of the way into the book. Vin is kind of getting on my nerves, and I predicted that would happen because she's 16 years old, and that age demographic in books definitely tends to annoy me. So I kind of saw that coming, and here we are. As Vin is going to the balls, she's proven to be very driven by her hormones. Her mood is dependent on if she sees Elend, if he talks to her, or if he's avoiding her. That really dictates her mood. So being driven by hormones is a very 16-year-old characteristic that I'm seeing. Vin is also getting a little bit of a sense of entitlement. She's getting really annoyed and bratty when Kelsier isn't including her on all the different elements of the plan, all the different intricacies. And I mean, I think that's kind of smart, because if anyone from the gang is like captured and tortured, at least they don't know the whole plan and put everyone at risk, right? So there's that, but then it's also, she's a kid. She's 16 years old, and sure, she's talented and she has these powers, but she's still young. And she's definitely proving that by her attitude in going to the balls and how she's handling the nobility and everything. So I don't blame him, and she is just super entitled. Vin is also proving to be easily manipulated and ignorant, because she's been going to these balls for like 2 months now, and she's saying that there's no way this nobility could be as evil as Kelsier and everybody is making them out to be. There's no way they could mistreat the Ska, their slaves. There's no way they could do things that result in these Ska being murdered and killed, because they're so refined and beautiful and nice when they're dancing to her. And I'm like, my God, where was the Vin that was like suspicious of everyone and like obsessed with being betrayed? Now 2 months of going to fancy parties, and she thinks there's no way these people could be evil. And I don't know about you, but when it comes to the evils in the world, it's always like the rich and the political figures that are the most evil. So she is just being manipulated by this glitz and glamour, and it's hard because I like Elend, but I kind of want him to betray her so she gets like knocked down a peg, because this attitude she has is kind of getting on my nerves. But on the other hand, Kelsier is an extreme. He's kind of saying that all nobility should be killed, regardless of what their morals are, the actions they've particularly taken. Because of their status, they just need to be exterminated, right? So kind of my prediction of where I see this going, it's like he could be the next Lord Ruler, because he's looking to extinguish an entire class of people just based on their status. So I wonder if Vin is going to be like the balancing factor that like reels him back in and gives him that perspective of like, hey, let's only kill the bad guys. Let's only take over this government to make it better. Let's not take it over to repeat the mistakes of the past. So that's my prediction for how this is going to go based on both of their personalities. Our rebellion hit a turn with an action-packed series of events, and there was like one section towards the end of part 3 that I really liked. He forced himself to smile, not out of pleasure and not out of satisfaction. He smiled despite the grief he felt for the deaths of his men. He smiled because that is what he did. That was how he proved to the Lord Ruler and to himself that he wasn't beaten. I really love Kelsier. I really hope he makes it. I hope he's successful. I hope he doesn't succumb to the power and the reputation. I mean, his head is getting kind of big because he really is gaining this reputation of being this very mystical leader. That's how they're getting followers for the rebellion. So I see why he's doing it, but I can see his ego growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's why I kind of predict like maybe he's on track to be like the next Lord Ruler. Like maybe the Lord Ruler didn't start out as evil, but you know, power kind of goes to your head. So I mean, that reputation going on, it's already resulting in some consequences, right? So we'll see how that goes. Those are my thoughts on part 3. I'm excited to get cracking on part 4, finish this up. I don't have that much left to go. I got book 2 and it is a chunky bitch. So, I mean, these take a lot of time. I mean, pairing it with the audio, I am listening to the audio as I go through it, and that's really helping. The narration is pretty decent. So probably do that for the whole trilogy that I'm gonna read, but I need to get cracking on this, hopefully finish this up soon, and hopefully keep enjoying it just as much as I am.
So I just pulled into the grocery store to pick up my grocery order, and oh my god, there was just a plot twist at the ball that Vin's at right now. She found out some information and I'm on the edge of my seat. Can't wait to see what happens. I did it. I finished book 1 in the Mistborn series and I really enjoyed it. In the beginning, I felt it was a little bit slow moving because we were focused so much on building the foundation, like the magic system, the political structure, and I think that ultimately had payoff. In part 4, the action really kicked off. We had a lot of battle scenes, we had some plot twists, we had some character reveals, so everything really came together nicely starting at part 4. Now that I've finished the book, I can speak a little bit more intelligently about the magic system. We have allomancy, which means that there is power associated with each individual metal. A metal like copper, tin, pewter, there's like one power or skill associated with it. Maybe it's enhanced senses, like sense of hearing, sight, smell, or improved strength from another metal. And select members of the nobility that can gain power from one metal are called mistings. Other people that can get power from all 10 of the metals are called Mistborns. So our Vin, of course, is a Mistborn. Surprise, surprise. She can get power from all 10 of these metals, just like Calcier. Honestly, when I was first learning about this allomancy, I thought it was kind of lame because I'm like, a Mistborn is so easy to defeat. All you have to do is take away their access to ingesting these metals, because they have to like have them physically and then swallow them. And like, it's so easy to defeat them. I don't get the power of this. But I was talking to my friend, Bald Booktuber, and he explained about Brandon Sanderson. There's always like a cost associated with the magic. It's not something that's just given to our characters. There's always some kind of a trade-off. And hearing that perspective of it, I think gave me a whole new appreciation for allomancy and the magic system. So I really enjoyed that. The action and the battle scenes were a little bit hard to picture at times because our characters can like throw a metal coin on the ground and they can push and pull against it. So they use it to like push away and then somehow do like extended leaps, kind of like flying, because they go like over buildings and like jump and leap onto roofs. And I just kept picturing Mario Brothers, like the original Nintendo, where they do extended leaps, boing, boing. Even the sound effects, like I had that in my head while I was reading it. So like when they're fighting and like all the terms of like pushing and pulling and burning, and it's like it kind of got a little bit confusing to me. I mean, Brandon Sanderson did a good job reminding you of like what each metal did. Like this character is burning this metal to get this power and uses it this way. Like that was the formula for like all the descriptions. So that was nice. But just the pushing, pulling, burning, and then how different metals complemented each other got really confusing. And then there was like a pairing of like allomancy, and then there was like another version of it, and it just that
kind of got confusing. I mean, going into fantasy, I was expecting creatures and magic. So this one doesn't have too much creatures yet. I mean, there's like a little bit at the end. I think they have a bigger presence in like the rest of the series. At least this one, there wasn't too much creatures. It was mostly just trying to grasp like this magic. So still struggling a little bit with imagining that. I am very happy to say that my irritation with Vin kind of evaporated going into part 4. I think because we spent so much time building up the foundation with her and being in her emotions, that was getting on my nerves. Part 4, where the action started kicking off and things started happening, like we're focused more on the plot than being like in her head and her sad girl moments. So that was a lot better. And so I liked her character journey. I liked the part that she played. For side characters, Seizen is my favorite. So kind, so caring, so nurturing. I really liked how academic he is and how passionate he is about the pursuit of knowledge. He knows a bunch of languages. He knows like 200 or something different religions, and it's his task to hold on to this knowledge and spread the knowledge when the time is right. So I really liked that. I liked the power he held and then his passion for academics. In terms of the plotline for overthrowing the Final Empire and the Lord Ruler, I'm pretty satisfied with where that went. I'm happy with the conclusions we got to the plots and also the open-ended areas of the plot that make me excited for book 2. I feel very satisfied. I feel like I can step away from this world for a minute if I need to, meaning like there wasn't like a huge cliffhanger that is causing anxiety for me. Like there was just enough of like open-ended stuff that makes me excited to pick up book 2 and continue reading, but it's not a cliffhanger. I think this was a fantastic introduction to fantasy. Very good for beginners since the magic is very well explained. And like I said, I think we're easing in because we've got the magic system and the political system that was described at length, and creatures didn't play too much of a role. You can see how they might become more of a role. There's like this blob that like ingests corpses, and then he can take the shape of those corpses, whether it be like a human or like a horse or whatever. I mean, that imagery is kind of fun. So like that's one creature that was mentioned but didn't go too much in depth on it. It's just something that like roams the streets at night in the mist. I picture Flubber. I don't know, do you know about Flubber? Yeah, I'm definitely picturing Flubber. You can tell I have very sophisticated imagery if I'm talking about Flubber and Mario Brothers. I'm so glad I read this. I was so intimidated to get into Brandon Sanderson, but I feel like he is very approachable, very easy writing, a great world to escape into and be a part of. So I'm excited to check in with Vin in book 2 and see where this is gonna go for everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this Mistborn reading vlog, and I will see you in the next video.